This brings us to a very special part of the evening, the New Zealand Music Hall of Fame. The New Zealand Music Hall of Fame was started in 2007 to honour some of New Zealand's most treasured musicians. And tonight, another brilliant and amazing and incredible artist will be added. To introduce the newest inductee to the New Zealand Music Hall of Fame, she's my fave, she's my absolute fave, Spanx. Please welcome our wonderful, brave and smart leader and master in command, Jacinda Ardern.
Ina iwi pai nei, aku mihi nui ki a koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou I a koutou, mahi mō Aotearoa. Hi ao haipai, hi ao riaki, ti ao waiata, kia ora koutou. I feel honoured to be here today. Having sat where you are now, I have seen many of our great artists and musicians honoured by their peers. People like Shona Lang, Toi Love, Moana Maniapoto, Dave Dobbin, Book Runga, Carl and Nick from Supergroove, and the Great Dames, otherwise known as the Top Twins. They all have something in common. And to explain what that something is, I'm not going to use my own words, I'm going to use the words of Don McGlashan, who said in 2012, quote, "Songs and music are the animating spark of the world today. Without them, the world would be like a fairground before the power switch has been turned on, before the lights blaze and all the wheels and rides start whizzing around." Each member of the New Zealand Music Hall of Fame have lit up our fairground, known as Aotearoa. Some have also done Australia a favour and lit up their fairground too, like the wonderful Ginny Morris. Ginny Morris was born in Tokoroa and grew up, Tokoroa represent, and grew up in Hamilton, and she has often spoken about her musical upbringing. She and her sisters would sing while they did the dishes. They would sing in the car during long trips around the country, or they'd pick out harmony parts or play musical quiz games. But for all of that, Jenny's path into music wasn't a direct one. She became a teacher, but in the 1970s was also a member of the all-women six-piece Wide-Mouth Frogs, and later, the Crocodiles. It was the Crocodiles with Jenny alongside the unforgettable Bruno Lawrence, Fane Floors, Peter Descent, Tony Blackhouse and Tina Matthews that gave us the classic hit song Tears. This was a career-defining moment for Jenny, whose distinctive vocals and style won over the hearts of New Zealanders and introduced her to a much bigger audience in Australia. What followed was an outstanding solo career. Ginny entered a scene dominated by the icons of that vibrant Aussie pop rock era, Midnight Oil, Cold Chisel, AC/DC, INXS, all battle-hardened performers dominating airwaves and venues with Australian rock and roll anthems. And in that mix was this young New Zealand woman with her own string of hit singles and albums. She was confident and determined, with a powerful voice and a sharp pop prowess, and she cemented her place as one of the Southern Hemisphere's most respected singers and songwriters, becoming the face of 1980s Aussie Kiwi pop. Jenny's reign began in 1987 with the release of her debut record, Body and Soul. Great songs and collaborations followed. The Neil Finn penned You I Know, She's Got to Be Loved, Saved Me, and Street of Love, written by the great Paul Kelly, to name but a few. But it was Jenny's second album that I remember. Shiver was the second cassette that my sister and I ever bought. Buying a tape in those days was such a big deal that we pulled our pocket money for it. And when it came to Ginny, there was no disagreement. She wrote anthems that didn't just deserve to be sung, they deserved to be repeated over and over on your Walkman. belted out in your shower. You, Ginny, became our harmonies in the car, on the road, while doing the dishes. But music has never been the sum of Ginny's contribution. She's been instrumental in the Nordoff Robbins Music Therapy Art of Music events, a World Vision Ambassador and the first female chair of APRA. Ginny, you are a powerhouse, not just an incredible musician, but a force for good in the industry and in the world. Consider this induction a tribute to a voice that lit up our fairground, that has never left us, and that continues to blaze.
Jenny was never going to be stuck behind anybody.
She looked like she knew what she wanted.
She seemed to cross genres, bring a lot of different types of music into her fold, and, you know, all under the umbrella of pop.
She's really spunky.
Sassy.
Sassy.
Stratospherically talented. She's just getting a whole cavalcade of honours now, and she's really going to get pretty up herself, I reckon.
I reckon she's already up herself.
Yeah.
Some men have muscles, they are muscle bound and on display.
I know Jenny has been inspiring to a lot of artists, male and female, to bring it onto the radar. And Jenny started off in a time that was like way before anyone even spoke about that.
Both Tina and I worked for the, I can't actually remember the exact name of it, but the Unemployed Artists Scheme. So it was somebody who thought that the arts were important enough that if you funded people to put things on in Wellington, it would be great for everyone, which is like, seems so incredibly enlightened by today's standards.
Theoretically, at the end of the year, you'd have a project that you could then take out into the world and earn an income from.
To have a venue and to have the equipment in one place, I mean, those things actually answer a lot of the problems.
Part of that scheme was a puppetry group called the Wide-Mouthed Frogs, and I became aware that, as well as being a puppetry group, the Wide-Mouthed Frogs were also a band.
The fact that we didn't really play the instruments we were taking on seemed a minor detail.
They had a good time. That was what they were all about.
She was living in Wellington teaching, and at that point we agreed that we should, you know, play music together. I do remember it as this just sort of skies opening moment where these harmonies we'd been practicing together and these very basic songs, suddenly this this beauty.
We didn't have someone out front, like they weren't front people, they were guitar players who sang their own songs. And so Fane said, if we had Ginny out the front of us singing our songs, we might actually get somewhere.
You're back again, but I'm so sorry it's too late.
And the song Tears, which Fane wrote with Jenny in mind, and she sings amazingly. Like, I listen to that occasionally, and it just gives me chills hearing Jenny's vocal on it. It's just... it's exquisite. It's like listening to Dusty Springfield, you know. She's just got that power in her voice.
At some point, somebody played me Tears, and I just thought that was a really great soul pop song, you know. And I looked at the film clip, and she was you know, full of life, you know. This amazing, beautiful, just stunning-looking girl who was really captivating. And you could see why she was, like, from that point, I think she was really destined to do big things in New Zealand and in Australia.
This was the era of Cold Chisel and Midnight Oil, the sort of hard-working Aussie pub band, and the Crocodiles weren't like that.
To kind of try to break into that, yeah, you had to be, you know, pretty tenacious.
She was really cocky and she had attitude, but the way she looked into a camera and the way the camera loved her, she really made an impression when she came out.
In fact, I remember going around to visit Jenny at a house she was in Paddington, and her housemate, she introduced me to her boyfriend, whose name was Michael. This was Michael Hutchins.
I think probably Hutch, you know, and the NXS boys, you know, seen her talent, seen how great she was, and wanted to give her, you know, a bit of a, you know, pass and handball her up, you know, up the ladder a bit, because she, you know, she didn't use them, But, you know, people were really always, you know, stepping up to help her. And I think that's because she was a real deal.
I need a break. Do you ever trying to take a breath?
We claimed her. You know, she became like an Australian sweetheart. She's one of these girls, worked with one of the most loved bands in the country, with INXS, at a time when they were bursting out, you know. She was part of the reason they burst out. They were just finding their feet when she joined up with them and worked with them.
Not a lot of my friends knew who my mum was, but all of their parents did, and that was kind of the clinger, which was, you know, gives you that cool feeling in your tummy when someone gets really excited about the fact that your mum is Jenny Morris.
We were both elected onto the APRA board, and I think it was 1993. I was a publisher member and she was a writer member, and I used to get my back up every time. She'd say, well, you know, we're here to support the writers, and I'd go, well, we're here to support the publishers. Well, no, we're publishers and we already support the writers.
Jenny has been such an incredible advocate for songwriters and musicians, and you just feel like you've got one of your team in there going to bat for you.
That's something that makes me so incredibly proud. I see day in and day out conversations that she has with these incredible political powers. I mean, how could you not be proud of that when your mum is standing up for the thousands of songwriters and musicians that make our musical culture what it is?
I was also on the Nordoff Robbins board, which is the Music Therapy Association, and Jenny took it to another level.
And she loves that music can help heal. I heard about that whole therapy, that music therapy, through Jenny. And it made me really, really, really happy to know that music could make that much difference in people's lives.
Anyone who's, you know, been affected by music knows that it can be therapeutic, but when you actually extend to the kind of actual, you know, medicinal qualities of it, it's amazing for people.
When all your words depart.
Mum's spasmodic dysphonia started becoming more apparent when I was 12, and we just noticed that her voice was changing. Although she could still sing pitch perfect, her speaking voice just constantly sounded like she had laryngitis or there was something wrong.
She laughs about it. We've had a cry together on occasion, and you know, she's just not letting it run her life.
It's kind of amazing how resourceful she is still, and undefeated by it.
Yeah, still very good at communicating and very stoic about it, and like she never seems to complain about it.
The way Mum has dealt with losing her voice has just been incredible. I don't know, and I can't imagine what it must be like for you to lose the one thing that means the most to you in a creative sense, but also in a career sense. And Mum has never, ever let it deter her from her goals.
You know, in a way that's makes her even more inspirational, really, and a good reminder to people like me who sometimes have a whinge about losing my falsetto on the last song of the night. When I come off, I should remember to feel blessed.
It's the hooks, you know. I mean, one of the hardest things about being a songwriter is writing things that stick in people's memories. But Jenny's songs, you know, there were songs about herself, about being human. If you miss me, you're going to get hurt. You know, things are changing around here. You know. But she did it. She knew how to sell a hook.
It's good that New Zealand's showing you some credit and some kudos, because, you know, in a way, you've just gone over and made Australia a better country. But all those songs resonate over here. Lesbians love you.
They do.
Jenny, the Barnes clan absolutely adore you. We've acclaimed you as one of our own. You're an official Barnes family member, and you know we love you very much, all of us.
Jenny, darling, congratulations on being honoured in this way. Very much deserved. Lots of love.
Congratulations, Jenny. 40 years since we met you, and what a well-deserved award. And we love you.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I've been able to catch some of that light and just keep on shining. We love you, Jenny.
I'm just so impressed by you. and so pleased.
I hope you have a great night and you thoroughly deserve being honoured in this way. All the best to you. Lots of love.
That is true. It's
Sexy
true
as.
that lesbians do love her for some reason, but I suppose we probably can't put that in there, but it actually is true.
Mum, I'm so incredibly proud of you, and you are so deserving of being awarded this honour tonight. Your family and friends love you so, so much, but most of all, this is a win for women in the music industry everywhere.
And gentlemen, she will always be ours. I give you the wonderful Ginny Morris.
Shut up. I love the lesbians. Thank you, Jacinda, for your lovely words, and thank you for being our guiding star. E ngā iwi, e ngā roa, I rau rangatira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. I'd like to bring my friend Victoria Catley out because she's got dulcet tones and she's going to speak my words for me.
David Byrne says that you have to write lots of crap songs to get a good one out. He's right. Being a songwriter can be the most frustrating, exacting, soul-stripping, yet gratifying, collegial, and valuable of pursuits. There's a certain intimacy that develops between people who make music together that I don't think exists in any other environment. I'm sure we all feel the same way, that when it's working, there are few more awesome experiences to be had than making music. How lucky I feel to be a part of our music whānau. As a nation, I think we do pretty well at it too, because New Zealand is so geographically far away from literally everywhere in the world. There's a boldness, a disregard for comparisons, a confidence to bravely go into uncharted territories that exists in the heart of Kiwi creators, whether they are artists, writers, filmmakers, musicians, or lately, politicians. There's a take-no-prisoners approach that is very healthy, and I think we should take pride in that and nurture it, because we definitely help set creative standards for the rest of the world. All of the people I'm inspired by the most have something in common, an inquiring and open mindset. It's what I thank my mother and father for teaching me and my siblings. They were always curious and would invest time in discovery through reading or travel or conversation. There was always something new to learn and always another way to look at things. When I lost my voice, it was a crying shame. I struggled not just with the loss of my singing voice, but also, because it takes time to get a sentence out, my razor-sharp wit and Mensa-sized brain was not so obvious. But channeling my parents' approach, I became heavily involved in APRA, and that has gone a long way to filling a big hole in my heart, because I get to be part of a business that collects royalties and distributes them to all of you, you world-class, unique, trailblazing songwriters. On that note, I want you to know how lucky you are to be in the hands of your new CEO, Dean Ormston, and your valiant New Zealand leader, Ant Healy, and the extraordinary teams that they run. APRA is lauded the world over as the best of the best collection societies. I didn't write this part. We have a point of difference from the rest of the world that also exists in our music makers, and I would urge you to keep tapping into that. When you're doing your co-writes or sitting alone in your writing world, remember the importance of keeping your unique essence. Wherever you may roam, carry your Māori order with you. Keep the connection. It's always very scary to name names because the risk of leaving someone out. But I'm going to recognise just a few people relevant to my Kiwi musical experience. So for the part that you played in getting me to this point, however big or small, thank you too. Anderson's Theatre Restaurant in Hamilton. For hiring me, a 15-year-old bedroom singer in a caftan with a guitar, 2 original songs and a bunch of covers. Greg Knight, for expanding my knowledge of music and guitar chords. Stephen, Co and Les from my very first band, How's Your Father? Tina, Andrea, Sally, Bronnie and Katie, together known as the Wide Mouth Frogs, New Zealand's first all-girl pop band.
And Kelly Blood.
Oh yeah. Arthur Basting and Fane Floors for writing Tears, with its 7. And here there's brackets saying, put in a number, Victoria. And I'd just like to share an anecdote where there was a collection of amazing New Zealand female songwriters together a few weeks ago, and we put the song on and we counted them, and there are 7. 7 key changes in Tears. And the other crocodiles, Bruno Lawrence, Tina Matthews, Tony Backhouse, Ricky Morris, Jonathan Zwartz and Peter Dacent. Nick Bollinger, Karen Hay and Chris Burke for their unwavering support and knowledge of Kiwi music. And for reasons too numerous to mention, Mike Chun, Neil Finn, Sharon Finn, Tim Finn and Dave Dobbin. This career path has always been entertaining. If I was still a teacher, I probably wouldn't have had the experiences I've had. Saving Michael Hutchence from the extremely amorous advances of Freddie Mercury, for one. Or being told by George Harrison that I should put all my money into real estate, even though I didn't have any money. Or ducking Taliban missiles in Afghanistan while sound checking on the back of a truck. Or playing the world stages with the likes of Tears for Fears, Paul McCartney, INXS, Julian Lennon, The Cure, Queen, Prince. Or more importantly, helping fight the good fight for copyright protection in the halls of the Australian Parliament. The point is, if you open your heart and mind, if you stay curious, if you're a seeker and remain committed, anything can happen. I want to especially thank my Paul and my family and dear friends who came tonight, because there is no one luckier than me when it comes to the love and support that I get. I never, ever take it for granted. I'm deeply appreciative of this award and even more deeply humbled given the company I'm now keeping.
So, thank you, APRA, for making me just a little bit legit. Thank you.
Jenny Morris. It is true. I can confirm all lesbians love you and or have made love to your music. Tasha, you... I need a break in the... Okay, and now, oh yeah, and now, to pay tribute to her, please welcome to the stage Ladyhawke to perform Break in the Weather.